if we continue with this insurance policy, the next time that they will both be renewed at the same time.
Okay, resolution 262-2023, moved by Councillor Sakamoto, seconded by Councillor Hart. That this council hereby accepts the 2023 Employment Practices Liability ETL proposal based on a short-term extension effective November 9th, 2023 to September 21st, 2024, with a prorated premium of $1,665. This is to align the Employment Practices Liability Policy renewal date with the renewal of the municipal package. All in favor? Opposed? And carried. Okay, Superior North Emergency Medical Services, 2023 levy, quarter 3. Any discussion or questions about that one? Councillor McKenzie?
Yeah, just the amount is, for that quarter is $23,817, so there's a pretty significant cost, but there's a good service as well.
Yeah,
And it did increase slightly,
how much was the increase?
not a lot, I would say less than 200.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty insignificant. Yeah. Okay. Hold on, there should be a resolution for that, eh?
No, it's
No?
just for information.
Oh, it's just for information,
Yes.
okay, cause I thought there was something out of work, okay, in my list. Okay. Can move on, everyone's okay with that, okay.
Yeah.
Finance D 2024 budget meeting date, okay, so there's no information in our package on that. That's just something that I wanted to have down in our agenda. Because as you recall, when we were speaking with Lindsay a while back, at our other budget meetings, he was saying normally November is when you start looking at the budget for the next year. So, I know that, we can't meet about it anytime soon because Lindsay's out of town, but maybe we can just direct staff to start looking at, the management, to start looking at their budget requests and things like that.
I know that they already have.
They are, okay, they have, okay, good. And then we'll maybe look at scheduling a date. I'll be in touch with you, Linda, after next week or something like that. Maybe we can start working on a date for the initial budget meeting.
Okay.
Okay. So we can get that going sooner rather than later. Difficult to do last year since we just were, started in November, so we had a little catch up to do. Okay, number 4A, planning, significant detachment second quarter report. So we are happy to have Staff Sergeant Dave Moskal in to visit us today to go over the report with us and perhaps answer any questions we might have.
Thank you, Your Worship. We could direct everyone to page 5 of the report. I was looking for variances, looking for numbers that were probably I was looking for huge variances, and as you can see, the variances are not totally out of whack. You'll see a couple of 100% and differences, and that might be one occurrence going to 2 occurrences. So as a percentage, yes, some of those numbers may look huge, but as you're not getting hit with a crime wave, is what I'm saying. The one variance, though, I want to point out to is drug crime, because that has been high on my list of priorities since I got here in September of 21, and you'll see that number looks huge, and that's because of the hard work that Sergeant Barber did and his team to bring in some local entrepreneurs, if you will.
Yeah.
We've worked hard to put pressure on those individuals. Since I've got here in 21, some of those individuals have been in custody 3 times at least. So the work is getting done. We are, as always, trying to do our best to inform the courts and educate the courts on how much this is affecting our communities and we keep pushing. We just keep making life miserable for the individuals that want to carry on the drug trade in this town. The courts might not always get us what we want, but we certainly intend on making it difficult to do business here. So that's our prime goal. And then, of course, every once in a while, work that was done on the Turnbull case. That again was like the efforts of the officers involved. They never left the case, and they carried on with it, and they got a result that has some closure for the family. Certainly not ideal in a sense of justice. And it was interesting to see that Judge Burton made some pretty severe comments, which is unusual for the courts to do that, on what she felt about the people involved in that incident and how they conducted themselves. So we're still cleaning up pieces of that case, but our officers never let go of that case, so they worked on that case there. So that's kudos, I think, to Constable Nathan Fleet and the team of officers. So if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. Trust that you find these numbers satisfactory, and if there's anything more we can do to enhance our level of service and address the concerns of the community, by all means, you know how to find me. I'm always open. Open door. I'm going to catch you anytime. I might even buy you line. So again, we're going to keep pushing on the issues. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, Your Worship, if I can have your indulgence, but I just wanted to report on the BTV situation, because we did have that section. I see that's further in the agenda, but from my perspective, I wanted to report that complaints and calls for service since we had that session. I don't believe we've had one call for service on the ATV side. I'm not saying that it's not happening, but we certainly aren't getting calls for service in that regard. And I haven't seen as many machines around town as I was previous to that section that we had. So kudos to Your Worship for putting that together and getting people in the same room. And I think a message got out. Whether that will stick and whether we will have to reinforce it next year. Chances are we will. But I think in the short term, I think we accomplished a good part of our mission in that regard. If there's any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. If not, I'll stop talking.
I just have one question. So yes, kudos to the OPP and local detective Nate Dupuy and all the other officers. And I noticed in the obituary they thanked the family thanked the OPP, which is very nice. So I did attend the vigil that happened here a few days ago, and there was a lot said at the vigil about the drugs.
Yeah.
Right. I've talked before about bringing back a dedicated drug person to be able to focus on those situations. As most people know, and as I've talked about before, a lot of the calls are drug related, right? Whether it's the violent crimes, the break-ins, all kinds of stuff like weapons. A lot of it is drug related. And so I was just hoping to find out if there's an update on a dedicated drug officer that can just focus solely on that.
Well, actually tomorrow, I'm holding interviews to fill one more crime position. So that will lend itself, of course, to helping with that. Because the Turnbull case is pretty much complete, my crime unit members will be able to concentrate more on that. So we're having interviews tomorrow for that. So I hope to award a job, because Detective Constable Barella retired, so we're filling that position, so that'll be 2. I want to get the third, the street crime unit position filled.
Is that the CSBU?
Yeah, CSU.
Okay,
So I want to get that position filled, but until I get the manpower to backfill that, I have to put that on hold. Having said that, my crime unit now is going to have more time to concentrate on those things. So, so I'll have 2 dedicated crime unit members to be working specifically on significant cluster crime issues, which includes drugs. I have a 3rd officer that's been accommodated who's coming back. And my plan is to get that officer in the position as a paper writer. So, not to go into too much detail, the drug investigations take a ton of time to write warrants. So I'm hoping that this accommodated officer, I can get him into position to be a pure paper writer. So when my frontline officers and my crime unit members are reading up information and building cases, I'll have a dedicated paper writer to write those warrants, and then we'll be able to execute on those warrants. It's not ideal, but it's a better position than I've been in for the last year.
yeah,
So that's the plan. I have 2 officers, 2 recruits that are gonna be coming in early in the new year. I have a new sergeant coming in December, and Officer Matt Foster, who was seriously injured in a snowmobile accident almost a year ago, is coming back. So I'm starting to get that that rollout. I should have another 2 coming in June, so I'm getting very close to backfilling and to getting us to full strength. So that's kind of my
good.
that's kind of
good
my
news.
plan. So it's coming. It's not as quick as I'd like. I'm
Yeah.
sure it's not as quick as you'd like, but we're working on it. And despite that, all this work that was done to get one of our major dealers back in jail, who's currently in jail now, was done by frontline officers. They got that done. So it's not just because we don't have the people, the plainclothes people to do it. It doesn't mean we aren't spending the time and directing the attention where we can to get that done. So
And I don't want to put you on the spot,
go ahead.
but I've heard that there's a strong like a strong bail or strong role that like they sort of, because I know that I worked with you last year.
Yeah.
On a paper to put forward to the Ministry of Justice, I believe it was, and Attorney General.
Yeah.
And it sounds like they've really, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah,
So people can
absolutely.
know what's going on there.
Forefront of my, of some of the things that I'm doing. So the commissioner of the OPP has gone really hard at the federal government. We've seen them on the news a few times about bail reform. And about the fact that, they are letting people go with minimum supervision. And when we are returning them, the courts are not taking those violations serious. So that's part of the problem, is that the courts aren't even taking themselves serious. So how do you expect offenders to take this whole procedure serious? So the commissioners pushed very hard on that. We have in the past have had basically compliance checks. And that went a little bit by the wayside during COVID, but it's been reformed, it's been renamed, and especially for any drug or gun violence in the community, those people go onto a certain registry, and then we will be conducting full-blown compliance checks on them on a regular basis. But it's basically to identify the most violent offenders and making sure those checks are done, and then those are tracked. So, so that's one of the, and we were doing that to a point, prior to that. This piece though, because people are transient, right? So we have to be aware, and then that's the bigger piece of what we're doing is aware of who's in our area, because people pop up from all sorts of different places in the country. So knowing who's in our area, and then focusing on them and targeting, especially on the firearms and the drugs, because those are the things that are really hurting our community. And personally, I mean, we're almost to the point where we've, got to the end of the court case for the Burkett shooting that, myself and my team were involved in, 2022. So that's working its way through the courts now, so we've got another offender that we, from Toronto, that we're gonna be having, it's gonna be doing some serious time, so. Again, it's the concentration on those offenses and I guess the federal politicians. They hear the noise, they hear the pressure, they feel that pressure because it's coming from all across the country. This is just not unique to us. It's everywhere and there's been some real concerted efforts on behalf of the police chiefs, on behalf of community leaders such as yourself, and being in their ear. And you have to be in their ear on this subject. This subject can't lose traction. There has to be a constant pressure to make sure that the courts take themselves seriously.
Okay. Councilor McKenzie?
I got a couple of mom and pop questions for you there. I was just wondering about, our foot patrol still continuing?
Yeah, I actually did one today.
Oh, okay.
Generally speaking, almost every day, I conduct foot patrol. I take that upon myself. I'll do that, and I do a stop in at all the businesses on the way. Actually stopping to see Linda the other day, but she was doing, negotiations, so. Yeah, no, I make a habit of walking, make a habit of talking to local businesses, and so, yeah. And then on top of that, my officers are expected to do 2 patrols a month into the schools.
Okay.
Every school in this cluster gets at least 2 patrols a month.
Yeah,
That's cool.
that kind of leads to my next question about the school visits. Do you have a communications officer now that kind of coordinates
No.
some school visits?
And I'll tell you why. There's pressure from, there was suggestions from command that we dedicate an officer to that. I'm not willing to take a frontline officer away because we are, we're suffering from some vacancies that we need to get filled. Having said that, in light of when you turn on, and this is mostly American news, it's more important to me that the officers know the schools. More important to me that all the officers know the schools, that all the officers know who should be there and who shouldn't be there, that the teachers get to know all the officers. Having one person as a contact, don't forget that Nipigon is my only responsibility. So to have one officer responsible for all of Burkett, Dorian, Red Rock, Nipigon, Terrace Bay, Stryver, Base Platte, all along the North Shore, have one officer responsible for 300 kilometers of range is unrealistic. So my position is every officer needs to get into the schools. They need to know how to get into the schools in emergency. They need to know the layouts of the schools in case something bad happens, that they all are familiar with that, with the layouts, all familiar with who should be there, who shouldn't be there, who the principals are, who the secretaries are, who, just who the problem people, because as you get into the schools and you talk to the staff, you get to learn which young people are at risk. And I think that gathering of information is more important than assigning one officer to do that work. So that's just my personal opinion. That may change down the road if someone new comes in behind me and wants to staff that a different way. But I think it's a mistake. I think that knowledge is important. So
Thanks.
well,
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Staff Sergeant. 4B, the Lake Superior Discovery Center update. We did receive a brief update from site manager of the LSNMCA, Lisa Nyman. She let us know that phase 2 bids for the Lake Superior Discovery Center closed on October 18th, and Parks Canada is currently assessing the bids. I'm not saying when construction would start, I'm not gonna put those words in, but she's been told that it can start in the winter time, so Who knows, but that's the update from them, so hopefully they'll choose someone soon.
Is this the last phase?
I believe this is the last phase. So, from what I understand, they had to change the way they did some procurement for projects over a certain amount of money. And that this happened over the summer. It was sent down by the federal government. So they had to rework a bunch of things and then it set them back. But, so this is good that they have bids. And so, yeah, we look forward to hearing, an additional, update from them soon, hopefully. Setting the 2024 regular meeting, council meeting dates. Does anyone have any issues with any of the meeting dates that are put down? I'm going past my calendar here.
I think it's still mixed up.
Oh, there we go. That's okay. That's,
Oh,
you know what? Because it's got pink on it, I can recognize it right away. Everyone okay with that? Yeah, okay. Oh. that's-
Just
Yeah.
like, the proposal was for no meetings,
Oh.
immediately following the long weekends. I
Oh,
thought that was a good idea.
okay.
That's one of the one that you're looking at right there. and send me that.
Yeah,
So I thought that was a.
so February
good idea for
20th.
staff too, eh?
Yeah, February 20th, it happens after a long weekend, so does May 21st meeting. So I don't know if we wanna. What we can do about that, if we wanna change those or,
Yeah, this one looks good, eh? One was preferred.
oh, are there a number of?
Schedule one.
Yeah, that one right there.
This one, oh, sorry, I didn't realize there was two, okay. I'm not good with iPads. Okay, so there are no meetings after that, okay, so we're gonna go with schedule one. Resolution number 263-2023, moved by Councillor Sakamoto, seconded by Councillor McKenzie, that this council hereby sets the regular meeting council dates for 2024 as per schedule one. Number one, as provided by the clerk. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? And carried. Okay, the next one is, for recreation, or it could go under a few things, but, cigarette butt containers at the arena. This is something that I just brought up because, it wouldn't email, I took some pictures and it wouldn't email off of my phone, so I printed these pictures out. There are hundreds of cigarette butts on the ground outside of the arena in the little area that's. And I know that a while back, there was a proposal to put, the Green Committee proposed to put a cigarette butt. What do you call it, like a container, because you can't put them in the trash can because it could cause a fire and everything, and that was denied. So I'm just wanting to bring it up again because I think that everyone knows that you're not supposed to smoke in front of the doors and on the property and everything, but they still do. And not only is this bad for the environment, but it's embarrassing when you have people from out of town coming for hockey tournaments and things like that, and it looks like this, it's embarrassing. And I want to propose that we ask the Public Works to put a cigarette butt container, not right in front of the door so that people aren't, but maybe in that little corner there. And we're not telling people they can smoke there, but if they're coming from another part of the property or whatever, they need to put their butt somewhere, there's a place for them to put it. And, because I always think that people want to do the right thing, but there's no place to put their butts. And it's very bad for the environment and it's ugly. So, yes. Councilor McKenzie.
We do have a bylaw that addresses that,
Yes,
and it's not being followed, so.
yeah, that's true. We have a bylaw officer for about 10 hours a week. We don't have the budget to have someone standing there the whole time, unfortunately.
I understand that, but I mean, if we're gonna put up, ashtrays, or lack of a better word, maybe we should have a sign there also that states unequivocally that it's, it's against our bylaw to be smoking on municipal property.
There's a
And
sign.
especially within, recreational fields and recreational areas for children and stuff like that, so. I'm not against what you're saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, but I just,
I know.
we had a really interesting session with ATVs. maybe we can have an interesting session with smokers as well.
Yeah, there is a sign there, there has been for years.
Yeah.
And it's just, and I've been to several municipal buildings where there's a bylaw, where it's down from the province where they're not supposed to smoke, and there's still containers for butts. Because people just, they may not be smoking right in front of the doors, or they might be coming and they just need a place to put their, it's, yeah, it's just cleaner. And they're very kind of out of the way and very like subtle. It's not like put your butts here or anything like that. Smokers know where they go. And yeah, it's unfortunate that it's just the way it is, so. Are we, I would prefer no one smoked, but ever, yes.
I would like to say just, in previous, we have, been in contact with the Bay District Health Unit and, had their, rep come and, he's giving warnings and
Mhm.
stuff, but it's still, you
Yeah.
can only do so much, right?
Yeah. I think that eventually smoking, like butts are gonna be gone because vaping is just gonna take over and all smoking is bad in my opinion, but the good thing about vaping is there's no butts. But in the meantime, I think we need to have a place for them to go, cause it's awful. Are we okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so, we'll direct staff to do that, to put a container in that corner there where all these are. I don't know if we already have one in the yard somewhere, or if one has to be ordered, but.
Bylaw officer would make pretty good money.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the bylaw officer in his time could still go and tell people not to, and that's great, if he wants to stop by and do that, that's wonderful. And I do notice a lot of people smoking out by their vehicles and everything.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's a good way to catch the butts anyway.
Number 6, bylaw enforcement off-road vehicle session. Gordon, Counselor Gordon McKenzie and I and Counselor Hart attended the session along with, Deputy Clerk Berube and, our bylaw officer. And Staff Sergeant Moskill and, Sergeant, Mitch Brennan. I counted about 35 people, but someone tells me who was counting that there was 45. Leroy, he was keeping an eye out, I guess. It was really well attended. I don't know if Counselor McKenzie, if you'd like to say anything, or Counselor Hart, if you want to make any comment about the session.
I just had a comment about the follow-up on the session. Has the committee been formed to kind of have a review of the current bylaw?
Not quite yet. So the date for receiving the questionnaires was November 6th.
Yes.
Okay, so that's just passed. I made some notes. Linda has made some notes, so we're gonna bring those notes together. And at some point, maybe we can go through, or I can go through those questionnaires and just see if there's anyone willing to volunteer. And
There was a couple.
there was a few, okay, or
Yes.
maybe you can, yeah,
There's,
it would be good to have a report on those
And
questionnaires too,
received, I believe, like additional 8.
an additional 8,
Yeah.
okay. So if we could get a report, I mean, it doesn't have to be anything fancy, just typing out all the, like some responses and things like
Mhm.
that, and if they're kind of the same, you can, three people said this in a general thing, just to make it a lot easier to read, and then the list of names of people, that are willing to form a committee. I know that one did reach out to me, Sergeant Brennan said that he would be willing to sit on the committee and just be there to consult about the provincial laws and things like that, so. It was a lively discussion, but I think it was good. It was very cathartic for a lot of people. They told me that afterward, so. Yeah, they're good, okay. Okay, so 7A EDC Municipal Accommodation Tax Information Session Report. I am going to step out. And Counselor Hart is as the deputy mayor, with Counselor Westhaver having sent regrets, which I didn't say at the beginning. Counselor Westhaver sent regrets. I'm going to step out for this one.
Okay, municipal accommodation tax session report, 7A. I was there. Dan was there. Everybody. This is the report that Stan submitted. I have read through it. I was there. Some of it was. We had quite a few people show up. And of course, none of the hotels were for it, but that's not unusual. To me personally, most of the information that was there, most of the questions and comments and stuff were just, comes down to a lack of knowledge and understanding of what the system actually is. So I don't know if Dan would like to say anything on it, or.
I think the report kind of speaks for itself. What we did was we took the most popular comments and questions that were asked and we put them in there along with not a rebuttal, but additional information on each. In what Councillor Hart said makes sense. It does seem there's a lot of misconception, but a lot of justified questions and justified concern. But yeah, as Superior Country, we were there. We're happy to assist the township in hosting the event, but ball's in your court now, and we're here to help in any way that we can. However, the township decides to proceed.
I add, during the meeting, I know the businesses were very concerned about if we add the tax, that the number of clients they have will go down. And I didn't think of the question until after the meeting was over, but Stacy was still there, so I asked in Terrace Bay. They've been collecting the tax for 3 years now, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Can they tell, has there been any change in the number of people staying in the motels? And they said.
Well, they've opened 2 new ones, so that were
Yeah,
closed.
so they have, people have been paying the tax for 3 years, they haven't got anything going yet with the money, yeah, it's still being organized. But the number of people staying in motels didn't change.
They're
That told me something as well.
I have an article or a study that they've done on these, and hotels specifically fall under a price elasticity model, where a small percentage up to, I think, about 8 to 10%, there's no change. A very, very not noticeable change in actual bookings and stuff. It's just the way the model works for hotels, and there's a few other things that works that way. So.
One other thing I forgot to mention, my apologies, was back to your point, Councillor, was I have included in their appendix item A, a note from tourism manager Paul Heavy of the city of Thunder Bay, which kind of addresses that question as well. And what you can see in the city is that capacity rates are increasing. They're putting in more hotels, so they've been charging municipal accommodation tax since they were able to as well. So they haven't seen that decline either. There is a decline. Superior Country, as your local nonprofit destination marketing organization, we do get the CBRE reports to show how many heads and beds across the nation, specifically Ontario, Northern Ontario, and Thunder Bay levels. There is a decline after COVID, just in general to pre-pandemic numbers, but that number is increasing. And it's also due to the fact that there are now more rooms to fill than there were pre-pandemic levels. Since the pandemic, I believe Thunder Bay has constructed 4 hotels, which generates hundreds of extra rooms. And there's still, I believe, 2 more on the go right at this moment.
So what is the next step? Now that we have this, is this up to council?
This is up to council. Basically, it's marked out there. If we want to continue on with this, the next steps will be to start forming in a group with some of the hotel owners and stuff and start discussing things.
Yeah, I was there also, and I learned quite a bit. One thing that I noticed was that no motel owners wasn't supported the initiative, like you had said, right? And also the fact that most of the people that visit our motels are transient visitors. one or two nighters excluding the construction workers. So, knowing that, having said it's a good, it could be a good idea, I think we should just pause things right now. And, because, until we really get, support from our motel owners,
Well, that's part of the problem. We'll never have support from hotel owners, but yet they are the ones that are gonna generate and get the best return on their dollars more as that's.
but but these are.
Yep.
Not necessarily my opinion, but it's the opinion of the motel owners right now, so.
Yeah.
We have to listen to what they're saying, and if there's further education piece that has to be done, whatever, I think that would be the approach rather than.
Well, that's the
Forwarding it
next
ahead.
step, yeah.
Yeah, the next step, yeah. Thank you.
I'm, a little different mindset, just in that I don't know if we would ever get them to totally agree. But one of the things that I heard, and I totally agree with, that Nipigon right now has so much potential with the mining going on in the area. Or whether it's workers in the area or workers' families wanting to come up for a weekend. But the size and the quality of facilities that we have on the highway is limited because we don't have sewer and water out there. And one of the motel owners did mention that that's an issue, and I believe right now those motel businesses among the gas stations and restaurants out there having our primary tax base.
Yeah.
So if we do this, if there's any way that we can earmark the money that comes to the town to be used one way or another to get sewer and water out to those people, if we can leverage extra funds for it, I think that would be a worthwhile venture.
And I had conversations with some of the hotel owners and they're like, and was a proposal that I had actually mentioned to them about something like that. And that changes their conversation altogether.
If our town is willing to commit to trying to make that happen for them and commit the funding that comes into the town for that, I think that would be a good thing.
And to me, that's a no-brainer to put that towards that, because that is,
Yeah, it's just getting the commitment from the town and I don't know if there's, maybe Linda would know if there's some way that we can commit beyond this council. If in 3 years now another council comes in and says, forget, we're not spending that money on sewer and water, we're gonna
well,
do
that,
something else.
when you form a committee to look after this kind of stuff, then it's out of the council's hand, it's in the committee's hand.
But is the committee just looking after the funds that goes to Superior Country, not the funds that comes to the town? Unless we wrote an agreement with the motel owners that the town for them or something, to say that the money that we receive from that will be used towards sewer and water.
So there's a couple options there based on what other townships have done. Basically what the committee mentions and everything I've talked about in a committee in the past earmarks the 50% dollars that go towards a not-for-profit for promoting or developing tourism. The 50% dollars that go to the township are direct into the township's coffers. Some municipalities have set policies and procedures on what those dollars should be spent on. However, what Councillor Hart mentioned in forming a committee and then it goes into the committee, there's nothing stopping a township from doing that either. So if you were to formulate a committee to control the 50% dollars that go into the coffers of the township, that's something that can also be done. If the township were to see value in that, but I'm not an expert in municipal law, but I would guess that a council can undo certain things that you guys put in place at any given time, so that's difficult to say. And one thing to point out, and it was in the report, is one of your motel owners specifically said that he would not only be in favor of the MAT if it went towards the highway water and sewage, in fact, he'd be willing to pay more than what the suggested amount was from the province. So I mean, your water and sewage is definitely a large spend, but if the township were to earmark dollars towards that, I think it would make a lot of your stakeholders on the highway extremely happy, and that came out in conversations both at the session and afterwards.
Anything else?
Good.
I guess.
Can we vote to proceed?
There's not really anything on, there's no resolution for this right now, so we'll just mull it over and we'll bring it down. But I mean, these are the things that we're thinking about, and I mean, to be honest, it's where I was thinking was what we just discussed there. And putting water sewer to the highway, to me, as a project, and I've talked with you, Kathy, about it, is somewhere in Nipigon's future, because that issue would solve a lot of our issues, including housing and a lot of businesses and stuff like that. So this is just another means to get there. When they finally decide to come through and do the highway, we might be able to make something happen. Especially if we have some funds in the bank, kind of, sort of thing, to match dollars, so. Yeah. Okay,
All right,
we'll move on, we can bring Suzanne back. Thank you, Dan.
Number 8, cemetery committee minutes of October 26th. 2023. This is resolution 264-2023, moved by Councillor Hart, seconded by Councillor Sakamoto. That the minutes, the Cliffside Cemetery Committee on October 26th, 2023 are hereby accepted. Is there any discussion?
They did have a recommendation. I actually missed that meeting unfortunately, but they did recommend that the application of Evelyn Nadell to sit on the Cliffside Cemetery be approved.
Okay,
So perhaps we could add that with the.
add that with
resolution.
the resolution, so that the minutes are hereby accepted, including recommendation to council. Okay, thank you, Councilor McKenzie. So this is that the minutes of the Cliffside Cemetery Committee on October 26, 2023 are hereby accepted, including the recommendation of council. All in favor? Opposed? And carried. Okay, museum, Thunder Bay Museum, Nipigon Historical Museum Service Agreement. This is 264-2023. Are there any questions about that agreement? Councilor McKenzie?
Yeah, thanks. I asked that. I know you approved the last meeting that it proceed, but there was just one little glitch there that I kind of was looking at, along with a couple other members from the museum committee. And that it was suggested that like we start, like there's a charge from the Thunder Bay Museum of $50 an hour that we look at, initially 50 hours. So $2,500 and for to start with, and then if it goes beyond that, that we have to get approval in writing for it. So that was kind of not in there, but it is in the revised service agreement.
Okay.
So that was something that was a little bit overlooked, and I just wanted to make sure everyone was good with that. And also that would allow us to budget for it, put it in our budget as well. So,
Okay. Thank you.
okay.
Okay, resolution 264-2023, moved by Councillor McKenzie, seconded by Councillor Sakamoto. Oh, sorry, did I write the wrong one down? Oh my goodness, that's what I'm doing now. Okay, sorry, thanks, Linda. 265-2023, moved by Councillor McKenzie, seconded by Councillor Sakamoto. That this council hereby accepts the proposed service agreement with the Thunder Bay Historical Museum to provide consulting services for museum management and operations and care of assets and intellectual property assigned to the Nipigon Historical Museum to commence January 1st, 2024 for the term of 1 year. All in favor? Opposed and carries. Okay. Great. Sundries, 10A, community satisfaction survey. Okay, so this was something that I wanted to bring up. It's been about a year since the new council has taken the reins here. And I just was thinking that perhaps we could do sort of take the temperature of the community at this point. Not a big, long multi-page survey or anything like that, but just maybe see how we're doing in the eyes of the community members. Find out if there's any further suggestions. I know that we're going to be doing a strategic plan soon, so that's what I mean. I don't want to get into too much detail, but just sort of just a very simple online and paper one is. How are you guys feeling about that? Any comments about that? Councilor Sacramento?
I'm just a little bit concerned if the strategic plan is gonna be too soon, that it might be confusing for people.
Okay,
But what we're.
they might be like, I already did a survey, I don't need to
Yeah.
participate in this. That's a good point. Yeah. Anybody else? Councilor Hart?
I'm all for as much community engagement as possible,
Mhm.
personally. Community satisfaction survey, it's a survey. Maybe a town hall meeting,
Mhm.
like we did with the ATVs, just a general to gauge. Because the people that have real concerns or real comments are gonna show. That's,
I like that idea, like, I know that I was thinking about that too, and it's more of sort of a personal one-on-one. And a meet and greet too, because I'm still meeting people that I've never met
Yeah.
before that come up to me and just recognize me and I don't know them, and it's nice to have people get a chance to get to know us and things like that. Yeah,
I would agree with that.
okay, good suggestion, thank you. So, Linda, maybe we'll work on some kind of a date that works for everybody. I know it's getting up to the holidays and things like that.
We
but
are
It's pretty
quite big
full,
going on
yeah.
to like
Yeah.
the end of the year.
I mean, you talk New Year.
Look into January maybe or something like that. Okay. Okay, Thunder Bay Municipal League, so this is just for information purposes. These are just minutes from the meetings of the municipal league. There will be an in-person meeting for that December 16th in Nipigon. So looking forward to that one. Anyone have any questions or comments about that? Okay, then we have again for information, Roma update. I did receive an email from Roma that they're starting to accept those the meeting requests for the ministries. So I don't know who's interested in going to Roma. Are you going for
I was thinking of moving over.
Ogra? Okay. That's good roads, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I don't know if Gail, Kathy, or Glenn are interested. That's the end of January.
But I could help you with the deputation if
Yes,
you want.
that would be great.
Yeah.
We worked on them last year together, and with if anyone has any of the counselors or staff for that matter, have any ideas about, I know in the past there have been, we go to the minister if we have a grant application in or something, we want to check with them and or make sure that they understand how important it is to us. That kind of thing, then yeah, that would be great if council members can, yeah, and if anyone does want to go, I would recommend that they let Linda know ASAP to register and then get your hotels booked and everything. Okay, so we'll get together and you guys want to just email me any information you want, any issues you want to bring forward. And then Linda, if you could take care of staff on that, if there's any information or any requests that they have, any issues they have,
Okay.
they want us to bring up in Roma, at Roma. Community Emergency Preparedness Grant. Linda, do you want to talk about that at all, or is that just for information right
Just
now?
for information, it sounds like that there is some funding there that could be available if we were looking for updating some emergency equipment, so they had a few different things there that we could apply for.
Okay. Yeah, Councilor Sakamoto?
Have you shared that with our fire chief?
I I meant to, I can't say for sure if I did or not. I'd have to double check. I believe
But
I did.
if you haven't, yeah, if you could just share that with Brian, that'd be good.
Sure.
And with Shane too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a lot of this would fall under public works as well.
And then, yes, whatever they are interested in, what could offset our budget for next year for emergency preparedness would be, yeah, great. Okay, E, Fire Underwrite Survey supports Canada's volunteer firefighters. This is, I'm kind of confused about what this is. This is a survey? Counselor McKenzie?
Do we have a resolution to support this? Because what it basically says is that, here's our volunteer firefighters, a bit better income tax break.
Right, okay,
So,
yeah.
I think,
I agree.
I think we should, have a resolution to support that particular petition.
I don't think there is one, but maybe, Linda, if you could write one up. Yes, no, that reminds me, that's what it was all about. Thank you so much. So, we would like to write a resolution to support. What does it say, the exact? The remuneration of consistent, please take your time to sign. Okay, it's a petition. So we are supporting Bill C-310's amendments to the Income Tax Act to increase the amount of the tax credit from $3,000 to $10,000. It is hot.
But
78.
Mhm.
I keep my house at a ball in 62
We must be dying in here then.
in front of the fan.
Yeah. It should be 266, same. Thanks. Okay, so we have 266-2023, moved by Councillor McKenzie.
You know what, I'll let,
Oh,
Councilor Sakamoto move it, because she's on the
oh,
fire,
There you go.
committee there, and also.
Little more government amendments like this one, I think would go a long way towards a lot of different things.
Well, and they just not only try to protect their town when there's accidents on the highway, those guys are out there as well.
We got 7 days with all the department.
that's right. So we have 266-2023, moved by Councillor Sakamoto, seconded by Councillor McKenzie, that council supports Bill 310 to amend the Income Tax Act, volunteer firefighting and search and rescue volunteer tax credit. All in favor? Opposed and carried. Okay, next we have the OMPF, so the Ontario Municipal Partnership Fund. That's pretty much for information purposes. And then we have Guy Bourgeois, probably pronouncing that wrong, on road safety. So this has a resolution attached to it. This is, and I was surprised to learn this too, that double yellow line does not necessarily mean don't pass. It's not against the law to pass on a double yellow line. So this fellow wants to change that law to, make sure that it is against the law to pass on a double yellow line. 267-2023, moved by Councillor McKenzie, seconded by Councillor Sakamoto, that this council hereby supports the private members bill being prepared to completely prohibit vehicles from passing another vehicle when there are double yellow lines. The bill is to be submitted at the Legislative Assembly on November 21st, 2023. All in favor? Opposed? And carried. Okay, Town of Rainy River. We have a resolution here. Is there something,
You know what, I think I used that one.
okay, well, we'll see if we're going to support it. What is this, utilizing networks such as Contact North for online, oh, this is for the water, right?
Mhm.
We should support that, absolutely. Okay, thank you, Linda. So this is from the Town of Rainy River, and it is to, ask that the, I guess, the province allows, training for our water, employees to do their training online, because it's especially Northern Ontario, Northwestern Ontario, going in person is expensive and sometimes not possible. And that there's not as much training in person as there should be, so. We're supporting this, training be delivered in methods that is flexible and affordable. And further utilize existing networks such as Contact North for online exam preparation and exam supervision.
Like a lot of other people do with Northwestern Ontario.
Yeah.
I just wrote the resolution number one here.
Thank you. Oops, sorry. So who would like to? Move that? Seconder, Glenn, would you like to second that? There, I'll leave you out.
Way down
Yeah,
there.
yeah, he's at my left, so he gets left it. Resolution number 268-2023, moved by Councillor McKenzie, seconded by Councillor Hart. That council supports the Town of Rainy River's resolution 23-020. All in favor? Opposed and carried. Okay, we are now going to do resolution 269-2023, moved by Councillor Sakamoto, seconded by Councillor Hart, that this council do now resolve into a closed session to discuss identifiable individuals. Oh, sorry, before we go, any other business?
I wanna ask you.
Yeah, we're gonna do any other business, first of all. Councillor Sakamoto, do you have any other business?
No.
Councillor McKenzie?
Yes, I do have, two. I was very, pleased that you mentioned the vigil for the Miss Turnbull there, and I think we should actually, as a council, just maybe observe a moment of silence in recognition of what happened. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Maybe 20 seconds, 30
Sure.
seconds.
Okay, we will do a moment of silence if everyone can bow their heads in memory of Ms. Turnbull, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then the other item I had was, there has been a group, starting to clean the cross-country ski trails. So if, anyone's interested in helping out, they could contact, either Chris Leal or Rob Swainson. Those two fellows seem to be spearheading it. So if you want to do some blocking or you want to do some trail cleaning, I know that they would be very thrilled to have any volunteers that would like to come and assist.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councillor Hart?
I'm good right now.
Just a couple of things. First of all, I know, Remembrance Day is Saturday this year, so it would be great to see as many community members out as possible at the Legion for the ceremonies, 11 o'clock. I just want, again, I mentioned it earlier that it's our kind of our 1 year anniversary coming up as a council, and I just want to thank the staff and I want to thank the council members as well. For doing such a great job this year. It's been a great experience so far. And we've done a lot in year one, so thank you very much, and 3 more years to do even more. Yeah, so that's about it. So this council do now resolve into a closed session to discuss identifiable individuals. All in favor? Opposed and carried. So we'll make sure our owls are off, our owl eyes. Okay. You're not going home, are you? Oh my goodness. I hope it didn't freeze out there.
No, it's all good.
He's got changed.
So we do. Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Drive safe.
If you do